Hey there. This is going to be about the Thieaudio Legacy 4. Um, I actually had quite a few requests to do a review about this, as well as I've seen a lot of other reviews, and I was very curious about the way this sounded. You may or may not have heard me say that I tried to do the 5. I ordered it, and when I got it, it was dead on arrival, DOA. So never got a chance to listen to it or review it or anything, but the 4 intrigued me. So here it is. This is the box. I already unboxed it, but we'll go ahead and open it up a second time. Um, Comes with this another box. It's kind of like those Russian dolls where it's box after box. It's kind of like that, just so you know. It's got a little picture of the of a graph on the back, and I'm sure this is the overall graph. This isn't your in particular set or my in particular set. I don't think they're graphing each one, not at this price point. Well, in fact, I know they're not. This is what they say they all are. Now we know there could be some inconsistencies. That's been a common theme with a lot of the stuff out of Asia. But so it has this other box, and when I saw this box, I was actually like, "Oh, cool! That's a nice little case." And then I assumed there'd be another little case inside for the IEMs. There always is. And I thought, okay, it's probably got one of those foam inserts. I just take it out, and I can reuse this. I can put a bunch of IEMs in here. I can use it for some other stuff. This is a nice little carry case. Problem is, this insert inside doesn't come out. Yeah, so there's some cards and things in here. I don't know, whatever. There's the case for the IEMs. There's the IEMs, and here's the tips on this boat anchor piece of metal. It's a big old hunk of metal. And wrapped around there is not a band holding it down. This is a cable tie. Tips are okay. So it's funny to me. Oh wait, I don't want to get ahead of myself. So I was hoping that I could reuse the case, but I can't. And in fact, you can't use it for anything else because nothing fits in here. Like the Thieaudio doesn't fit in there. My WMA doesn't fit in there. I tried that. I don't know what else you're going to use this for after you take everything out of it. So inside this little case, and I like this case. This is a nice case. It's hard. It's got a nice, really soft liner. These little bumps in there. It's got a little, you know what that's for? That's for flipping the switches on this thing, which I don't like because switches mean I got to test like 5 other things. Well, 4 other things. So there's 2 switches on each one, so you can go both up, both down, back and forth, that kind of thing. If you want to get crazy, so there's 4 selections for me, right? So if there's 2 on each side, that means both insides, both down on both of them, test, both up on both of them, test, and then flip one down, one up, do the same on the other side, test, and then reverse that and test. You could actually start changing this one, so this one's down, this one's up, and then the other side's opposite. You could mix and match. That would be too crazy. I don't know why you do that, but for me, there's no way I'm doing that. Having to listen to a song 4 times, flip switches, listen to the song, flip switches, listen to the song, that's enough for me. So it's got this nice little case. It has a very nice cable. I was very happy with this cable. It's got a nice end, very well made. It's a nice weave. So it's got a nice Y split. I don't know if you can see that even focus. Yeah, Y split. Little nice little ends. So yeah, I really like the cable. No problems at all with this cable. I'm very happy with it. I listened to it on this cable. Everything sounded great. Let's put this back away. And here's the IEMs. We'll take them out of here, and we will. Let's get rid of this blue guy here. I got this nice little red cloth I'll put down. I think they stand out a little better on here. It's not quite so big, huh? So that is the IEM. And it's got a little port on the top, a little vent on the top. Molded, shaft there, so everything's connected together. There's no like separate sound tube there. They're nice looking. They're super light. I mean, if I didn't know there was something in here, I'd think they were hollow. They're super light. They're very tiny, and I don't have. Yeah, I don't have my. I had the. I also did the Freyas. I tested out the Canera Freyas, and they're like twice as big as these. Literally twice as big as these, and heavier. These things you don't even know they're in your ear. They're super comfortable. I'll tell you that. Very, very comfortable. The cable's comfortable. No problems at all with that. The tips that come with them, I mentioned that earlier for a second and I stopped. The tips are okay, but I didn't really like them that much. So here's what's happening. I see these manufacturers out of China and maybe out of other places too. They're listening to us for sure, because it used to be they always came with these crappy $5 cables. Now they're all coming with really nice cables. For the most part, I rarely get a cheesy cable anymore. These came with a really nice cable. Nice cases, they're listening to what we're saying. Why don't you just put the $15 cable in and charge us a little bit more? Why send it with a crappy cable and then we have to upgrade? It does, we'd rather have a nice cable. So that's starting to happen. These manufacturers are putting nice accessories in with them. This case that it came with, that whole big zippered case, that is a huge waste of resources in my mind. I'm not, Mr. Green. I don't, go crazy with recycling and conserving. I do conserve and I do recycle, but I don't go overboard. So it's not that I'm saying that, but that isn't the packaging this came in is an obvious waste. That outer case can never be reused. It can never be reused. You can't take that inner section out. So that's it. It's either for this or it's for nothing. So that's going to get tossed. I don't know what you're ever going to do with it. That seems like a huge waste to me. So enough of that. They're listening to us. Now I wish they would listen and take another step further and include really nice tips. Fearless Audio includes a set of pretty nice tips with their IEMs. You can buy a set of spiral dot, the JVCs, which are my favorite, actually. Those are my favorite. I don't like the foams too much. I don't like a lot of the others, but those spiral dots, I use those. They work really well. I think you can get them for between $15 and $19 or something on Amazon. And I'm sure these manufacturers could buy spiral dots or other high quality tips, for a much lower price than you and I could and include them. So why not do that? Don't give us 500 tips. Instead, just give us, 6 tips, a small, a medium, and large, but give us a really good quality tip. And then that's all we need. We don't need, 10 foam tips and 10 white tips and 10 black tips and ones with red inserts, and they go a little crazy and you never use it, right? I've got the Thieaudio and it's really nice. They give you like 15 or 20 tips with those things. I didn't use any of them because I got the Thieaudio recently. I just used my JVC spiral dots. That's what I used, and it sounds great with those. So it's nice to have, but you don't typically use it. Okay, so enough ranting about that. Let's go into the sound here. Now, you've seen what they look like. I've talked about the accessories. So these are super analytical, in my opinion. I was listening to these at the same time I was listening to the Canera Freyas. I got them at the same time. I was testing them at the same time. I was also listening to the Thieaudio, the FDH5. And I've got I was actually listening to the Tans Gym Oxygen and also my Monarch. Now, the Monarch is just way above everything else. The Monarch, for me, is an endgame IEM for sure. Not that I'm going to stop there, but it could be absolutely. For me, it's just so fantastic. And these things aren't even close to that. Okay, so we'll start with that. But those are almost $800 IEMs. So of course these are at $195 or $200 are not going to be the same thing, right? And I wouldn't expect them to. I kind of looked at these, considering they're the 4s I kind of looked at them as the next step after the 3, right? And that makes sense, I think. And I think everyone else is probably thinking that too. Legacy 3, the Legacy, the Legacy 3, the Legacy 4, the Legacy 5, then the Clairvoyance and the Monarch. And there was what was the other one? Legacy 14 or something? There was another one in there too. I never actually tested that one. So these, when I was listening to all that stuff, I'm going to say I had high hopes for these, and I'm going to start right now and just tell you they did not live up to what my hopes were for them. They were super analytical, very good detail. All right, there was songs I could listen to, especially like Rodrigo and Gabriela. I really like. You guys hear me talk about them all the time. I really like them. I like guitar, and I could hear the buzzing of the strings as they're picking them. And you might say, well, you can hear that anyway, but you can't. Not what I'm talking about. That when the pick just hits, or the thumb or the finger just hits that string to pick it, and then comes off of it. There's a buzz at the beginning, a little bit like as a thunk as it's hitting it, and then a little buzz as it comes off. In some IEMs, I can't hear that, and then in others, like the Monarch and a few others, Tequila, the Fearless Audio Tequilas, I could hear it. With these, I could hear it also very clearly. So detail was very good. That Dakar a la Pared song from the Truth About Charlie album, those raindrops at the beginning, and the foot in the rains, and the rain hitting the tin roof or whatever that roof is, I could hear it very clearly, like individual drops with these. So detail on these was pretty fantastic. I'm gonna say that, and it didn't hurt my brain. You know, I mean, it didn't. I was listening to it. I will say this though, that listening with these, I felt like I was studying the music rather than enjoying it. And of course, when I was going through my typical songs for review, you know, I was studying it, right? I was trying to figure out how they sound. Treble was good on these. It was there. I could hear cymbals well. The decay seemed okay. Mids were pretty decent. You know, they were there, a little thin, but you know, okay, smooth. Sub bass and bass were good. I felt like the bass had a nice stop, a nice shelf on it, where instead of like a big roll off or a rumble, but it was a good solid bass. But everything was very flat, and it was very analytical. And that was when I got them. I had the switches down, right? Both switches down, right? I think that's what it was. Let me look. I have my notes right here on these guys. Yeah, so with both switches down, it was flat and very analytical. Now with the outside switches up and the inside switches down on both of these, so that would be, if you're looking at these switches, outside being the outside up, and the inside over here being down, the vocals became very clear, almost mid forward, but the bass suffered, and it was cut way back. So, but I liked the sound of the vocal with them like that. I mean, I thought, oh, voices sound great now, whereas before they didn't really. Now, moving on and putting the switches where the inside was down and the inside was up and the outside was down on both of these. Then that was actually my favorite sound signature. So at that point, the detail got really good, or stayed really good, I should say. The mids were normal, or maybe a little bit better than they were with them both down, you know, with that real flat sound, but it sounded good. Bass was good and clear, but it wasn't muddy at all. So things got very clear with that setting, which I liked. And the mids were a little bit better, and the treble was a little bit better. Now with both the switches up, all the way up, it got bass heavy, like the bass got much heavier. And the sound was still analytical, but the interesting thing was that the stage and imaging, even though I'll say that these don't have much stage and imaging, with both the switches up, the stage and imaging was gone. I mean, it was like there was no more imaging. It was like, where did it go? So there was a song I tested with, there's Yo-Yo Ma is a cellist, a very famous cellist. and he's got an album with several other people. And I think the album is um, "This Ain't Our First Goat Rodeo" or something like that. Or oh yeah, "Not Our First Goat Rodeo" is the name of the album. And there's a song on there called "The Trappings." And it may not be your style of music. You know, you may not like it if you listen to it, but I will tell you, you should listen to it because if you want to see imaging and stage, that song is the way it's recorded, the imaging and staging. If your IEM or headphones or whatever can do stage and can image well, it's a fantastic sound and an excellent track for doing that. There's four vocalists. There's two females and two males. So there's a female who starts singing and very quiet and kind of comes up, and I want to say she's going to be right here, and then another female starts and she's up here, right? And it's like then it becomes obvious this one's like behind you. It's really interesting the way it happens. And then a male voice comes up way back here, and then another male voice comes up over here. So after that male voice comes up, and then they keep going back and forth through the whole song, and there's a violin, a lot of violin in it, like a country style violin, and a lot of picking going on with, I think, a mandolin. It is a beautiful song, but the imaging on it is really fantastic, and it's a great way to test imaging on using music and not like say gaming, for instance. Um, so on these, so on I should say this on the Freyas, on the Tans Gym, I can pretty clearly, well, not on the Tans Gym as much, but I can, on the Freya for sure, I can clearly hear the distance between them, and they sound like they're behind me, sound like they're in front of me, you know, in a round and the side. It would be really good stage and imaging. And I don't consider those to be super great imaging. Like on the Monarchs, it's just ridiculous listening to that song. On the Sennheiser, the HD 800Ss, it's crazy on that. I love listening to that song on those. On these, it felt like everything was right around my head, you know, like that, like you know, right around my head. No stage, imaging was very limited. It was there, but just not like any of the other stuff I listened to. Um, I'm gonna say that I was listening to these with the Freya, and I like the Freya better. And I'm not putting these down. I don't want to say these are. I'm not saying they're bad or anything like that. I don't like a very super analytical flat sound because I just can't enjoy the music. If you're a studio technician or an engineer, I could see where that comes into play. The DT 1990s by Barodynamic, the pros, they have that kind of, which I listened to those too because I thought, you know what, those are super analytical and supposedly designed for studio pros, for studio engineers. So I listened to those too, and honestly, the stage and everything was better on those than on these. Um, but those are $600 headphones, so I mean you can't compare as much. But I did not enjoy listening to music on these. That I'll just say it that way. Not like I do with other things. Like when I was listening to the Freyas, I wanted to keep listening. I really enjoyed listening to songs on it. My head was bobbing up and down. My foot was tapping. I really enjoyed it. Right. And I just could kind of get lost for a minute and just listen to the song and be really happy about it. I couldn't do that with these. The whole time I was listening to music, I felt like I was studying the music. I never felt connected to the music. It was just too detail analytical, you know, flat. And I could see where people would enjoy it because it was super clear, super clear. I mean, I can say that about it. There's no veil, there's no muddiness. That part of the tuning is really great. I didn't feel this connection. I feel like they pulled the emotion out, and there was just no connection for me to music, and that's very important. I mean, why else do we do this? It's because we really love listening to music. It's not because we like technology and little devices we stick in our ears. It's because we love music. We want to try and find the best possible um, experience we can listening to it. And so, I mean, that's the whole reason that most of us get into this and get crazy about it, right? So, for me, I'd have to say these are a pass for me. You might like it if you like an analytical sound, like, or like I said, maybe you're a studio engineer. These might be a really good choice for you. Are they worth $200? I think, yeah, heck yeah, they're worth $200. There's plenty of stuff out there that's complete. Well, I won't say it that way. There's plenty of stuff out there that costs the same as these that I would never keep or want to listen to. These I could listen to. I just don't really enjoy it that much, you know. But if it's all I had, I guess it'd be okay. Um, so I think they're worth the 200. There's good technology in these. And you know, I mentioned the Legacy 3s earlier. I would say that if you have the Legacy 3, those are one you can get those for like 119, and these are 195 or 200. I think if you've got the Legacy 3, then just keep it. Just wait. Don't get these. I shouldn't say that. Sorry, Linsol. Um, but I just the Legacy 3 is just as good as these. But the Legacy 3, well, I should say these are a little clearer and more detailed. They have a kind of a sharper bass. Maybe the bass you could say was even better in some respects, but I feel like the Legacy 3s are musical, and I always enjoyed listening to music on those. You know, I listened to those a lot when I had them. I may even buy them again. I'm thinking about doing that because I kind of miss them. I sold them and then I thought, you know what? I should have kept those. I kind of like them actually. For me, these would be a pass. I would just keep the Legacy 3 and see what comes up next. You know, maybe the Legacy 5. I wish I could have heard it. I just never got the chance. You know, maybe the Legacy 5 is more connected to the music and would be a better choice. I don't know. The Monarchs, if you could save your money and wait, I mean, and I'll tell you something, as I progressed through this hobby, it used to be, you know, spending $100 on IEMs was a big deal. It was like, what? Are you kidding me? I mean, like the tin hi-fi, the was the T1s, I think, or T2s. When I got those, I was like $49 for IEMs or headphones. Okay, I'll try it. And then I was like, wow. And that's kind of what got me hooked. And then I started going, you know, moving my way up. And then, but really, I always stuck between $100 and $125 because I just didn't feel like, why would I spend more than that? It sounds really good. Then I moved up and tried some more expensive stuff just to kind of take a chance. And I was like, wow, there's a big difference when you start moving up. And then those Monarchs, of course, like really set the bar for me and showed me what was possible. And I know there's people that say there's other things like the Mest, which I'm going to order, and EJ07 and a few others that are actually even better than those. So I'm surprised. I'm not sure that you can get better than that, but I guess it's possible. And I guess I always told myself that in this hobby is that every time I get something that's really great, I'm like, they can't get better than this. And then I find something that is better than that. So, but back to these, I would say if you can wait and if you don't mind taking a chance and spending more money, get those Monarchs. Those and the Clairvoyants I've heard are awesome too. I haven't heard them, but they're the kind of the same unit with a little bit different tuning. But I think the Monarch for me could be an endgame IEM if you're so inclined to spend the money for them. But these they're worth $200 as far as like accessories and quality of sound and build quality, and they're super comfortable. I think they're definitely worth the $200. They're just not for me. They just don't have stage or clarity, and I mean, I'm sorry, they don't have stage or imaging. Just isn't there for me. And the timbre wasn't that great either, or because I think timbre and imaging kind of play together. When the timbre is really good, the imaging seems to be there as well. So I didn't really get that sense with these, but yeah. So I hope this review has helped you. And I hope you don't already have these and you're disappointed in my review, but you know, that's the way it goes. All right, you guys have a great day. Take care.